I could work without any results for the next 5 years, 10 years, and that's fine because I'm still better because at least I'm trying.
When you try your actual best, you never fail.
Humans are patterns. There's a pattern you can take that'll lead to success, and there's a pattern you can take that'll lead to failure. There's 6 human needs. There's certainty, uncertainty, significance, growth, loving connection, contribution. Everybody's driven by those 6 human needs. And if you don't understand them, then you're not even in control of their future and the results that you get.
If you're not taking the actions, it will never be true.
Patterns shape habits. Habits shape actions. Actions shape results. It's that simple. Everybody knows this. The 5 people you're around is the person you become. 80% of business is psychology. 20% is strategy.
Relentless action is the only cure to any insignificance in 2025.
I believe everybody should have a shot at freedom. I don't think there should be a pay barrier of $10,000 to get education. If you fundamentally have a belief in life, I will not figure it out. Doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to figure anything. The point of goals is not to set a goal that you think is achievable. It's to set a goal that...
If people were having a thought and an action, they should have hopped off the podcast half an hour ago and do it right fucking now.
We're back like we never left. What separates the good salespeople from the greatest?
I think it's...
Yo, everyone. Welcome back to the Rodeo Talk. It is episode 13, and we're back like we never left with a massive guest today. It's been some time. Me and Max have been really busy traveling and taking care of the business. That's very, very important. But now we're back with a banger episode, and we have a guest today. Max, it's going to be good. But before we go into the guest and have this massive episode, I also want to, just ask you, Max, how have you been?
Man, I've been really good, man. I've been looking forward to this one. As soon as I got connected to this dude, I was super excited. It's someone that has been on my feed, and if he hasn't been on yours, you've probably been under a rock. So we're looking forward to this one. Today we've got someone special in to kick us back off into the next season of the Rodeo Talk. Yeah, I mean, this guy, what can I say, man? From high school dropout at 16 to now being 18 and having closed for millions of dollars for different massive people, likes of Jeremy Minor. I've already played pickleball with him as well. So this guy's got some stories for sure, and definitely knows his way around the closing game. Now he's aspiring to make sales education free for everyone, which I think is a very honorable goal. So yeah, bro, I've been looking forward to it because today we've got none other than Andres Contreras with us today, bro. Great to have you here.
Thank you,
bro, how are you feeling, man? You excited?
Good, bro. Excited. Get into it.
Nice.
Sick.
It's gonna be really good.
Yeah. We've been looking forward to this one for sure, bro. We did a bit of digging to make sure we got all the facts straight. But at this point, bro, for me, I introduced you very briefly there, saying obviously you went from high school dropout to now fucking owning penthouses, running a big team, having worked with some big people in the space. Just to sum it up from your perspective, bro, for the people who's been living under a literal rock, not seeing you on their feed, objection handling like a G, what is it that Andres Contreras at this point in time is spending most of his energy on, bro?
Yeah, I think if I were to give kind of like quick synopsis of my life, when I was 16, I kind of came to a realization of like, I've been living in comfort and like protected from the world in a sense, like my entire life, because I grew up in a very middle-class family. And that led to me kind of being like, okay, well, if I want to achieve all these things I want to achieve, I'm not going to do it by being able to model my parents. Humans are patterns. Is what people have to understand. There's a pattern you can take that'll lead to success, and there's a pattern you can take that'll lead to failure. And you get to choose that pattern. But if you replicate the pattern of somebody who hasn't been as successful as you want to be, well, what result do you get? It's obvious. The result you don't want to have. And so after thinking about that, I realized like my parents, I love them to death. I take care of them, right? But the patterns that they've taken in their life didn't lead to where I want to go. And so I made the very, very difficult decision to drop out and then eventually run away from home without telling them. And I ended up going to Arizona, and then I just put my head down and I was like, okay, I need to figure shit out. And then after that, that's when I first got into sales. And then I ended up going with Jeremy Minor 7th level, and I started as a rep, etc. Ended up out collecting that entire team 8 versus 1. And then I was like, okay, cool. What's the next thing for me? And so then after the CEO there stepped down, then me and my business partner Yash ended up taking over all revenue operations for the entire company, managing, training, recruiting the entire team. Ended up getting it to their highest month cash collection ever in 60 days. And then after that, left and decided to start the Impact team, which is on a mission now to make sales education free to everybody. And we've gone, I think, just under 20,000 members in like 4 months. That's kind of where we're at now, the brief synopsis.
Sick.
Incredible. What a journey it's been. So what we also want to the way we want to do this podcast is we want to learn more about the person. And you've been through a lot of stuff. You have a lot of experience. You've worked with the best in the game. I love Jeremy Miner. He's incredible at sales, and he, in my opinion, he sells the right way by actually understanding the person they're talking to. And it seems like you also do the same. And you are really good when it comes to sales, but we also want to like go back. So when you were 16, you lived in comfort. Can you tell us more about like what truly inspired you to like change your life?
So I think it was a series of things. Like if I go back to my kind of childhood, there's 6 human needs in basic psychology, right? There's certainty, uncertainty, significance, growth, loving connection, and contribution. Those are the 6, right? And so if you think about it, and everybody, whether you like it or not, are all dictated by those 6. So I'll give you an example. Somebody could be like, oh no, like certainty, I don't need certainty. Well, if you didn't have certainty that the roof on top of you wasn't going to fall down right now, would you be able to do anything at all? No. So all these basic principles of human psychology, everybody has them. But there are 2 that everybody has stronger than the rest of them. And those are the ones that mainly dictate and control their life. Nowadays, it's mainly certainty and significance because of social media and like everything going on online, et cetera, right? And so when I started psychoanalyzing myself, and it was like, okay, well, what do I have that's dictating the way I make decisions? And what I realized is it was significance for me. And the reason why is because when I grew up, my brother, he was a drug addict, ended up being a drug dealer for a little bit, et cetera. Now, thank God he's recovered and I love him to death, right? But because of that, my parents had to put all their attention towards him. So they was taking him to rehab, or like he went to 7 different high schools, like doing all these things. I had to grow up very alone. And me growing up alone, it made me crave my parents' attention in a way that I just didn't get. And I can't blame them for that whatsoever, right? It was the best thing that ever happened, if anything. But me wanting that significance, then it led to like whenever I went to high school, for example, I always felt like, oh, well, all these kids, like they're all normal. Like I want to be better. I want to be significant. I want to do more. And I didn't know how to do it. So at the beginning, it became sports. Then eventually I ended up going through an entire journey. I went semi-pro for like a month, broke my arm right down the middle, both of them, twisted 180 degrees upside down and turned to the side. It was a rough one. And then after that, it was like, okay, so like, what can I do now to still achieve that significance? And then that became business. If I can make more money, if I can do more, if I can grow my social media, et cetera, then like I'm better. Or so I thought. So a fucking couple months later, then I realized, okay, well, that's bullshit. That doesn't work.
Yeah, then you hit the first wall.
Exactly. But that was my original driver. That was like, okay, I need to change something. Something needs to be different if I want to get a different result. And then that ended up being like what drove me. And whether you know it or not, because to be completely transparent, I had no idea about 6 human needs, about psychology, nothing back then. Everybody is driven by those 6 human needs. And if you don't understand them, then you're not even in control of their future and the results that you get. It's still controlling you. You're just not controlling it. So then you have a decision to make. Where as soon as you start analyzing, like, okay, which one of these am I driven by? It allows you to actually leverage it. And the most successful people in the world, whether they do it intentionally or without even realizing, that's what they're constantly controlling. That's why they start nonprofits and charities and foundations and everything else, because that gives them the sense of contribution, right? That's what drives everything they do. So if you don't take control of that, then it's controlling you. That's how I think about it.
Bro, very inspiring, man. I really, I'm just actively listening to what you're saying. There are a few things I'm picking up on. Is retrospectively, it's easy to say that we're obviously pattern recognizing and seeing that the same input will lead to the same output, and we need to be the black sheep, et cetera, et cetera. But bro, we're all 3 here from loving homes, middle-class families. We never fucking grew up having any issues and wondering if we were going to have a meal in the afternoon. You know, we were never going hungry to bed. At least that's what I've gathered from you, bro. So take me through, without taking this hindsight perspective, what mindset and inspiration sources and hunger there is in a 16-year-old high school dropout when they decide to tattoo themselves on their leg with a needle and some pen ink after like some party. What is it that drives you to do that, bro? Right? Because that's not a hunger. That's a hunger that has to come from somewhere, right? And I don't believe it's maybe something that we can nurture, or if it's nature. For you, bro, there must have been some driving force, some inspiration, right? That's kind of what I want to look at.
Exactly. So going back to what I was saying about the significance, it's kind of like, take that as a perfect example. Me tattooing myself on my leg like a fucking idiot, taking a sewing needle from my mom's closet, breaking open a pen at a party while I'm blackout drunk, dipping in and tattooing myself. Why would I do something so stupid? For significance. That's what I wanted. Oh, I'm special. I'm different. Like, everybody look at me. I'm so cool. That's what drove it. And in the moment, it's not like, oh, I want significance, right? Like, that's not what I'm thinking. But at that point in time, I felt like, okay, all these people around me, they're all kind of stupid, if I'm being honest about it. Like, they're not very intelligent people, but I'm at the same level as all of them. Something's wrong. Something's off. And so, like, that made me feel like shit, ultimately. Because it's like, okay, I'm around all these people that I know are not very intelligent. They're not doing anything with their lives, but I'm the same as them. And that's the key. And so then as soon as I realized that, again, I'm not thinking like, oh, I want significance. I can get it by doing this thing. I can do this. I can do that. That's not what I'm thinking. But in the moment, it's like, okay, these people are even to me, or even some of them on the social hierarchy in high school, higher than me.
Yeah.
But I know they're not very intelligent and they're not going to go anywhere with their life.
Social hierarchy
So,
of
like,
high school.
it doesn't add up. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what gave me that driving force of like, I can't be worse than people. Like, I felt inferior. And feeling inferior, that's what drives you to like, okay, now I want to be superior. And that's where the significance plays a part. So that was that driving motivation at the beginning. And the very interesting thing is a lot of people think like, oh, but like, what if you don't make money initially? Like, then you're not better. But that's not entirely true, because in my mind, me doing the work, even though I wasn't getting the results, that's what made me better.
Yeah.
What made me view them as like, oh, they're being idiots, they're not doing anything productive, is the fact that they weren't even working.
They were drinking,
So
smoking.
in my mind, it was like,
yeah.
I could not make money. I could work without any results for the next 5 years, 10 years, and that's fine. Because I'm still better, because at least I'm trying.
Exactly.
And so then that gave that drive. And the key is that if you do that, if you put in the work that many hours for a sustained period of time, for a certain period of time, you will be successful. It'll happen on accident. Like, I don't even care. If you work that hard for that period of time with any basic intelligence, like the least amount of intelligence, you will stumble into success. It's like, oops, I'm here. It's like, well, shit. That's literally how it works. So
never meet anyone, that's tried their actual best. When you try your actual best,
exactly,
you never fail, right? It's people that don't try their actual best, and
exactly.
I think we favor speed, right? And just taking action, even any action over no action, is going to get you in a better position. And that's why you see people that we consider less intelligent or less comprehensive or compendious, and they're just stepping forward in front of you because they just are better at taking consistent, continuous action, relentlessly.
Exactly.
Relentless action is the only cure to any insignificance in 2025, bro. You're right on there.
Yeah. Well,
even one of the hardest things for me, I'll give this as an example. One of the hardest things for me, and I don't say this out of ego, I have a very high IQ, like from IQ tests, etc. And that was one of my biggest challenges starting out, was like, I would overthink things. I wanted things to be perfect, but anybody who's been in business for more than fucking 2 days knows there is no perfection.
Yes.
But if you're constantly seeking perfection, you do nothing at all. And so like, that was one of my biggest challenges. I know people now who are complete idiots, right? Like, I'm thinking of somebody right now that I mentored from when he was 16, right? With his business, et cetera. He was making like he reached out to me on Instagram. I remember this story. He reaches out to me on Instagram. I'm walking around the park thinking, because I'm just like, okay, what the fuck's going on? I call him on Instagram audio. I objection on him for 3.5 hours. And if you're watching this, please do not reach out for me for coaching or anything. I don't do that. But I objection on him for 3.5 hours on the phone, like while I'm in the shower, brushing my teeth, just like doing anything. And now last month, he's 17. Last month, he did $220,000 revenue.
Crazy.
And that was in the past year. And this kid is not smart. And he says that very openly. I'm going to be very clear. And you're probably watching this, but he's not intelligent. But that's his benefit, because he can just do things. He doesn't think about it. I tell him, do this. He goes and does it. He gets another mentor, tells him to do this. He goes and does it. He learns something. He doesn't overthink. So I think there's benefits to both sides. I, fortunately or unfortunately, however you view it, I was on this spectrum, but just as easily, people on the other spectrum can have the exact same results.
Yeah, exactly. That's really good. What's also really interesting for me is that me and Max, we've spoken with a lot of coaches, mentors who also want to scale their business. And we also speak with a lot of young people. When we speak to them, their only goal is the end result. Right now, you're also really young, bro. And what I'm admiring is that you don't only focus on the end goal, you also focus on the actual journey, taking action, and you couldn't care about making money from day one. What made you feel different, if I'm hearing correctly, is that the actions you took every single day is exactly what separated you from the rest. And we don't get what we manifest, we get what we commit to. So you committed to
Yeah,
being the best at what you do.
exactly. The reason
And
why, and I can go into that for a second, it's kind of like, I hate when people talk about like, oh, manifesting, etc., because it's like, yeah, you might have manifested, but you also fucking worked. You could have gotten the exact same results without writing on your whiteboard. I promise you that. But I
yes,
think what it comes down to is your identity, who you are as a person. That plays into the 6 human needs, but there's also a bunch of other things, beliefs, values, rules, all kinds of things that shape the way you make decisions, the way you think, the way you act. And so the benefit, I think, to manifesting, if that's what you want to call it, is an ability to change your identity, who you are. Because again, it goes back to the exact same concept. Repetition breeds skill. Repetition breeds identity. The way humans work is if you do something for long enough, I'll give you an example. If somebody believes with all their heart, all their soul, they believe I am the most honest person in the world, are they going to go fucking rob somebody on the street tomorrow? No. If somebody believes inside of them, I am dishonest, I hurt people, I'm a criminal, I do everything bad, are they going to go help a grandma walk across the street? Like, no.
no,
Because humans act in accordance with their identity. So the ability to change your identity, and this plays exactly into sales because this is all you're doing in a sales call. But your
Identity-based
ability
selling,
to
yeah.
change your own identity, your own psychology, that's what dictates the actions that you take. And so manifesting as an example, if you're writing it down, if you're, I don't know, chanting it out loud, you're speaking to yourself. You're having a conversation in your own mind. And again, it goes back to the repetition. You're shaping the way that you make decisions. And so I think a lot of people, they view manifesting as this magical thing of like, oh, this is amazing. Like I'm going to be a billionaire. This is amazing. But that's not how it works. All it is fundamentally is repetition. I think if you can understand how it works and what it is, there's much more effective ways to do it than sitting there like a fucking dork with a fucking napkin writing, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a millionaire.
Your right and your left hand.
Yeah.
but
No,
it
facts, bro.
sells. Like it sounds good when people say that, but it's just not true. And I think you're so right about that, Andres. When it comes to like, it comes down to the actions. I also think Alex Hormozi said that like it doesn't matter if you just tell yourself in the mirror like 1,000 times you are something. If you're not taking the actions, it will never be true. So everything comes down to what you commit to, and that's why I think like sales and that if you're a salesperson, what you do is just truly helping people. You're just helping them commit to what they actually want.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. But you got to have to be able to do that with yourself first, right? And that's also why the older you get, the more tied down you get to your ego and your current identity, that's going to be harder to shift. You get people that will die on that hill and that are even more difficult to persuade or to push into the actual direction that aligns with their life they actually tell you they want to live, because they're simply just too reliant and too committed to that identity they've built for themselves. That's why the younger you are, the better in this day and age, really. And we're having more opportunity than ever in this day and age to interact with these spaces and to explore and to be inspired and to speak with people like us, that we have like that 16, 17-year-old version of you is far easier to be able to go that route than the 24, 25 version-year-old of you, right?
Yeah,
And it's a very important point. It's a very important point.
Exactly. If you ask a millionaire or a billionaire or somebody in their 50s, whatever, they will view your youth as more valuable than the money they have. And I don't think it's always because of the fact that like, oh, the years. I think a lot of it comes down to your ability to change things. Because, and this is a massive advantage people don't understand, me in my youthfulness, I've only been on this planet basically 17 years because I just turned 18, right? So if you take 1 year of my life, people in their 50s or 60s are like, oh, a year passes in no time. Motherfucker, that's like a 15th of my life. Like, that's a long time. That is a long time. So I view that period of time as being a lot longer than it actually is. And if I believe it's longer, I can make a lot more changes than the person who believes, oh, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's a year. A year has passed. Because if they believe that, they're not going to be able to change a lot of things in that time period. So I think that's the benefit you have in your youthfulness. It's the exact same thing for me when I was 16, making all the changes in my mentality. Very, very easy. Once I'm 30, then it's like, oh, but like, what about this? Like, I've had this experience. I've done this. Like, I'm older now. And so, and I'll be completely honest, right now, I would like to think that I'm one of the quote unquote leaders of our generation in terms of business and sales and mindset and mentality and all that stuff. The kids who are 5 years old right now, when they're my age, the leaders of that generation are going to be running fucking laps around me. Because even like, I was at a talk a couple of days ago, and there was, have you guys heard of Alpha School or no?
No, please
I've
elaborate.
heard.
Okay, so it's super interesting. It's this program that this lady started, and it's a replacement to traditional school in the United States.
Yeah.
And the way it operates is with AI. So what they do is they have a 2-hour day of education, 2 hours of studying. The rest of the school day is working on projects. So like entrepreneurship or coding or like public speaking, like learning on actual skills that are actually beneficial. They found that in those 2 hours of learning, all of the students across, I think it was 6 schools, every single one of them scored in the top 1 percentile of the entire country. And the other ones in that extra time, now they give a couple of case studies. Again, there's only like 5 or 6 schools. They have like, there was a senior in the school who started the biggest mountain bike park in all of Texas, has 25 full-time employees on staff. There's another girl who got 2 million followers, started an app. There like all these people doing, there's an 11-year-old who started a fucking Airbnb, got a loan out, somehow co-signed. Now is cash flowing on short-term rental properties. I'm like, what? I didn't even know what that was back then. So like those kids are going to be running laps around me by my age. But so that I think that's the benefit of youth, is because you give them a year of their life is like a fucking century. So they're going to be able to change way more things. It's even more compressed than me or you or any of you guys.
Yeah.
So I think, youthfulness and the ability to change things in a certain period of time, I think that's a massive leverage that not enough people pull. They don't think about it.
Yeah, for sure. And also because when you're young, you have not lived for so long, which means that you have gone through different identity stages from being a child to being a teenager to being adult. So
Exactly.
it's easier for you to change your identity rather if you have been the same person for 30 years. Maybe you're too proud to change, but that's also going to hurt the life that you actually want to live. And either we sacrifice for what we want, or what we want becomes a sacrifice. So if you want to start something, we also praise Max, like start young, just take action, like find people who have achieved exactly what you want and live the life that you really want to live. And don't listen to anybody else, even if it's your parents. It hurts, but like the truth hurts sometimes, and you need to face it.
Tell me about that, bro. Like you're going to Arizona, you tell them you're going for like 3 days or something, and you end up staying there for 3 months. Like for people out there that feel that fire inside them, right? Feel that fire inside them, and that just feel so trapped in their surroundings and unable to break out the bubble. And we call it like the elastic band, right? It's very difficult to break that elastic band. And where we come from, Denmark, like there's a literal law, a social norm saying, don't believe you're better than anyone else, and you just stay in your social lane and your construct, right? But for people listening to this and they feel that fire inside them, and just like you teach as well, bro, they don't have any cases, but they're willing to send out video references of themselves, send an email to like 200 people. What is it for some actions or some considerations they should have at their very young age, right? Where they should be able to now have the courage and bravery to go against people that's so close to them because they're simply just in a different input-output scenario, a different generation, right? That takes serious courage, right? And to manifest that courage, I don't know if you're born with it or if it's your brother or whatever situation brought you that and that step, but I get a lot of people that ask me that. And it's difficult for me to find an answer that's one size fits all, right? And I honor that, but we're going to generalize to make a point. I'm curious to know your input on that, man.
My opinion is, again, when you start to understand that patterns shape results, that changed everything for me. Because it is a fundamental truth that, and I don't even have to tell you guys, like it is a fundamental truth that everybody knows. Patterns shape results. Because if you know that the patterns, and it's, even if I break it down even further, patterns shape habits, habits shape actions, actions shape results. That is it. It's that simple. So if you understand that, then you can start looking as people as a set of patterns. Like, yeah, you have love for them, you have this, you have this, you have that. But fundamentally, every human being is just a set of patterns that has created a state in their point of life. That is it. So if you view it that way, then it's like, if I know my parents, for example, again, I love them. They're both professors. Is that where I want to be? Fuck no. So like, I know their set of patterns, going to college, doing all these things. I can't blame them for that because that's all they know.
Yeah.
I can't blame them for trying to teach me that. That's all they know. But I also know that the results it led to are not the results that I want to have. So if I know that, then it's like, okay, well, let's reverse engineer. They have these results. I don't want these results. So I have to change the actions. If I want to change the actions, I have to change the habits. If I want to change the habits, I need to change the patterns. And then what I start to do is I can take other people who have had the success that I want to have. And I analyze, well, what patterns do they have?
Yeah.
Have they invested into themselves? I don't know a single multimillionaire, billionaire that did it young that has not invested in themselves. I don't know a single one, not one. So they've all invested in themselves. Great. Have they all went all into their business, worked extremely hard, made a lot of sacrifices? Yes. Great. I don't need to do that. Were they fucking doom scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, watching racist videos or people getting shot? Probably not. Great. So we're not going to do that. Like, I can break it down into very simple patterns. Because once you figure out what those patterns are, then all it takes is implementing them and sustaining them for a long enough period of time. And that's what creates the result. So then it's like, okay, well, I can love my parents. That doesn't mean I'm going to follow their patterns. Do you follow? Now, I don't think it's fair to make a generalization of like, oh, they're not where they want to be financially in their career. Therefore, I'm not going to listen to anything. That's not fair. Because, for example, they've been married for a long fucking time. Great relationship, had kids and everything else. Very close to their families. That I can model from them because I love that about it. So when it comes to relationships or marriage or anything like that, that I can take from them because they're a great role model for that. But I think the distinction is you have to realize what phase of my life am I in? I'm not in a phase where I need to go on a bunch of dates and I need to do this and I need to get married and all this other shit. Now I can do that more because it's like, okay, great. Now I can start looking for a life partner. I've achieved financial success. I've gone to the point where having a life partner might honestly benefit me more than it hurts me. It's like, great, I can look for a certain thing. Back then it didn't. So rather than doing all these things or listening to my parents who they can give me great advice on this one subject, I need to look at the patterns for whatever I'm trying to achieve in the stage of life that I'm in. And at that point in time, it just did not make sense. So then after that, it was like, I started realizing if I'm around my parents, everybody knows this. Again, the 5 people you're around is the person you become.
Yeah.
And I think most of those patterns that you hear or most of those little phrases, like for example, like that, the 5 people you're around is the person you become. Everybody knows them and they call them cliches. Why are they cliches? Because there's truth that have been carried down from generation to generation because they've worked. So just because you've heard something 10 times, if it's worked, that does not mean you ignore it. It means you use it. It's a pattern that works. So then fundamentally, it was like, okay, if the 5 people I'm around is the person I become, and I'm living in a house with 2 professors, a drug addict, and a software engineer that comes home every couple of months, I don't see a lot of use in these patterns. You know what I mean? I can love them to death, and I do. And I would take a bullet for any one of them right now on the spot. But the patterns, I could not copy. I could not model. So that's what ultimately decided to me being like, okay, Mom, I'm going to go to Arizona for 3 days. And she didn't see me for fucking 6 months or whatever.
That's how it is. That's how it is, bro. And yes, of course, we love a family and we should do, and we should not copy everything like everyone is doing, but they're really good at relationships and having a loving family. And that's a great like goal for you as well. And of course, we are just a product of the 5 people that we also allow us to influence us. And most people, it's different and it's hard for them to just change everything. But if they start becoming influenced by the right people, as you also did, it's so much easier to also get new perspectives and actually see what's possible.
Exactly.
And that's also what people, I think, love about what you do with sales is that they actually see what's possible. Okay, if an 18-year-old, you just turned 18, you're crushing it with sales, like, okay, it's actually possible. So I think it really inspires people. And in terms of like inspiration, Who's been the most influential person in your life?
The most influential in any aspect specifically or overall?
Overall.
Yeah, give us one. We can work from there.
Overall, I'd have to say my father, my dad. Overall. Because, and I'll say why. He went down a certain path of like, okay, I'm going to become a professor and do all this. And he is a great professor. He's not just a professor. Like he owns labs. He spoke in front of the UN Council, for example. Now, unfortunately, that industry, that doesn't transfer to you getting paid, right? But like he's done a lot of cool shit and he's helped a lot of people. Like even in I'll give kind of a 10-second summary. They're now starting a company. I would like to think part of that is inspired by the shit that they saw with me. Even my old, actually, okay, I cannot say that part. I don't want to get her fired. But my dad, for example, he's now trying to start a company with my mom. And on the application, because it's a medical device company, they had to put somebody who already has like experience, etc. So I'm on paper marked as the CEO of that company, of a medical device company,
Nice.
right? Because I have the track record and everything else. And so like that's super cool to me. But the thing I took away from him is in his journey, he grew up in Mexico in a poor family, like not much. And again, his sister, his brother, etc., like his family, they weren't able to really do much. Like they still don't have financial success or anything else. He helps them out a lot. They are phenomenal people. Fantastic. I love spending time with them. But again, the patterns, the stars didn't fucking align or whatever you want to call it, right? So with him, he had certain patterns that he took. He put college on a credit card when he came to America. He borrowed money from his professor. So like, even though he might have gone down a different path, there are still patterns within that, like I was speaking about, that I can take away of the type of person that he is, the commitments, the do whatever it takes mentality, that I can take away. And so I think that was a great kind of inspiration for me. There's also a story I'll tell you where this was after I'd had like 2 failures in business already. Like I was kind of like, okay, I was getting made fun of at school because this was after I started the business, before I left. And so like everybody's like, oh, like whatever, fucking around with me because of it. And we go to a father-son retreat for my school. And there's an exercise where you had to go down to a walk, right? And then you have a conversation. They give you certain questions to go through. And we were kind of at the end of the questions. We're walking up. Imagine it's a hill, green side. There's cabins at the bottom, right? The hill's up here, cabins over here. You can see like all the trees, like it's a forest over here. It's beautiful, right? Sunset coming down. And I'm walking up this hill with my dad. And we sit down on this bench, one of the swinging benches. And we're just talking, right? And I'm looking at him, etc. And I asked him about like, because I couldn't tell if they supported me, if they believed in like, okay, I can make this work, etc. So I asked him, I'm like, what do you think about like me actually trying to go into business? Like, and I want you to be very honest. And he goes and he sits down. He's like, he thinks for like 10 seconds. He's just thinking. I'm like, oh shit, like this isn't a good sign. He's thinking a little too long, right? And then he tells me, and he's like, out of anybody in the family, out of any of your brothers, you're the one I know can make it work. And that hit me like a truck. And I remember that to this day, right? And so I think that figure of like, yeah, he might not have been around because he's working on his career and he had a lot of shit to do, but he did it because he loved us and he cared.
Yeah.
And again, that's something I could model from him. So I think overall, if I had to say one thing, like even him being absent as a kid because like he had to go on a lot of travels like for work and all these other things, if anything, that was a model I could replicate. If anything, him not being there raised me. He raised me by not raising me, because then I had to become more independent. I had to mature. I had to do more things. And I think being able to take the positive light from that and like be able to model some of those characteristics, like that I think had the biggest impact on my life as a whole. If I had to say like one person.
Yeah. That's really good.
Amazing. Yeah, very interesting, bro. I think for me, it will be the same actually. My father, I think that's the correct answer for a lot of people if they actually acknowledge the patterns that there are to actually reflect on and not just look at it from like you don't go in and trying to, if you do like a pick a mix or whatever, you don't go and just choose one single selection and go, I only like that, it has to be only that. Like, no, you can easily have different people you aspire to look up to, and you pick certain patterns and characteristics from them that shape your person. The same we do in marketing is we analyze trends and we implement it into our own strategies. So it's the same kind of feedback loop system, right? For me, it's just interesting to hear about how that shaped you, at how he raised you, everything by not being there. It's very fascinating because for me, I know you've been involved in some quite high level mentorships as well. I think a common pattern for everyone that's in this game is we continuously invest unreasonable amounts for the massive amount of population into ourselves and back ourselves back against the
Yeah.
wall.
One thing I will
These
say, and
patterns.
this is actually very interesting because I had to do a lot of thinking because I was like, oh, like I invested a lot into myself. Like, great,
Uh,
investing must be helpful, etc. But then also there's the mission of making sales education free.
uh,
And what I believe in isn't paying for education, it's paying for implementation. And the difference is most of those $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 courses or programs, group coaching online, most of them are fucking scams.
just
And you
information.
can come out of that and be like, oh, like I got results. You didn't get results because of the program. You got results because you're the type of person who gets results no matter what you do.
Exactly.
That's why. The first program I ever invested in is a program that now is known to be a scam. But I got results. It wasn't because of him. It was because I'm the type of person who doesn't matter what I'll do. They could give 0.1, they could give me one fucking quota value and I'll take it away and make $10,000 off of it.
It's the
Give me one
commitment to take
quote or
action.
sentence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So like, I think the difference is the implementation versus the education. I believe everybody should have a shot at freedom. I don't think there should be a pay barrier of $10,000 to get education. I think implementation is very different. So like I've invested personally 180, 190 grand into my own implementation, if you will, in the past year and a half, 2 years I've been in business. And if you include the company and everything, not even overhead, I'm talking like just self-development stuff from the company, etc., then I think it's like 260, 270 grand. Right. So like there's certain patterns, but yeah, I completely agree. It's paying for implementation, I believe is the key.
Yeah, I say information and implementation. Information is in abundance, right? I mean, you could learn everything on YouTube nowadays, and that's how I started off as well. But it's that desire and that eagerness to actually implement and be an action taker. That's what differentiates you, because people are just lazy. And even if you're just someone that can somewhat control your environment and control your own patterns, you're already 99.9% in front of everyone else in the space, right? You got the information in front of you. The rest is just easy. I mean.
Yeah, completely.
Really good. Yeah, I think also when it comes to like courses, the magic, there's no magic pill, but if you talk about like where the magic happens, it is in the implementation. And once you pay for something, like free education is absolutely incredible because it shows people what's possible. Like you open up a completely different world to them that they're not exposed to in schools, because like all billionaires, some of them have actually gone to Harvard, but they all dropped out.
Yeah.
and got the knowledge somewhere else. That's just a fact. And also now the information and the knowledge we need to succeed in life, whether you want to become a footballer, business owner, public speaking, it's not taught in schools. So having a free platform where people can actually learn and open up the worldview and take the first step, that allows them to find someone that they can commit to. And once they invest in themselves and their own personal development, and they invest money, it's not just the money, but it's also like spiritually and mentally and committing to that goal and becoming that person. I think it's one of the best things you can do, especially now that you're also young. Like people talk about crypto, real estate, and stocks, but if you actually want certainty, which we also talked about earlier in this podcast, developing yourself and in your personal development and becoming that person, you have the safety in you. You're not depending on a school system or a crypto coin. You have yourself.
One thing I'll even add on that, every person, and this is basic psychology 101, every person has multiple states inside of them. Now, another word for states is like people, personas inside of them. I'll give you an example. Somebody could imagine your high school days. I don't know if you guys went to like a traditional high school or whatever, but imagine your high school days. There's always that one kid who's extremely good at sports, for example, right? But he's like an idiot in the classroom. That person, when they're playing sports, what's their state? I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make it work. I cannot fail. I will fucking break through that person. That's their state. They go into the classroom and now it's like, oh, like I don't understand. Like, I don't know what's going on. It's not that they're idiots. It's that they go into a different state. And if you think about patterns again, and I keep saying patterns, but it's because it's so important. It's because they've associated a certain state of them with a certain environment. If you imagine somebody is addicted to smoking And every morning they wake up, they walk into their smoking room, sit down on a bench, smoke a blunt. And they do that for 10 years straight.
Yeah.
The 10-year and first day, when they wake up and go to that room and sit down on the bench, do you think they're going to be like, oh, today I'm not going to smoke? No. But if they decide one day to wake up and they go to a different room and they leave their blunt behind and they don't smoke and they do that for the next 10 years, do you think on the 10-year and first day, they're going to decide to randomly go to that room, but pull out a blunt and start smoking? No, because it's patterns of who you are, because everybody has different people, different states inside of them. And I think the key is, and it's what you were saying earlier, like, oh, these people, they went to Harvard, but then they dropped out. The reason why is because if you're able to find that state inside of you that says, I'm going to succeed, I can do anything, I can push through, I can make it work. That's the same state that allowed them to succeed academically. It's the same state that allows other people to succeed in sports. But the key is being able to take that state and then put it into whatever you decide to do. That version of me that went out and was like, I'm going to be a semi-pro soccer player. I'm going to figure it out. Even though I was good before, I wasn't very good. Like I wasn't great.
Yeah.
Right. And then I trained 4 or 5 hours a day alone, 6, 7 days a week. Even if I was doing recovery a certain day, still another 4 or 5 hours. It was a state of, I'm going to do whatever I can do. My legs can hurt as much as I want. I don't care. I'm going to figure it out. And I took that state and I just implemented it into business. So there's a lot of people watching that might be like, oh, I'm really good in this aspect of my life. Maybe it could literally be with fucking women, for example. You'd be like, oh, like the playboy in high school or whatever. If he took that same state, as stupid as it sounds, that same persona, I figured out, I'm going to go get with all these chicks, and were to put that into business, I promise you, you could figure it out. But the issue, it comes back to patterns of being able to put yourself in that state and recognize the fact that you're not in it in that moment. Because if you're constantly walking around all day thinking to yourself, I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. I'm screwed. I can't make it work. I can't make it work. Then what's going to happen? You don't make it work. It's the self-talk is everything. The person who's on the pitch, who is the pro soccer player, the pro football player, he's in his zone. He's like, no, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to make this work. He doesn't even have to get all loud and energetic about it. He just knows. Yeah. It's the exact same thing. It's the persona that he's taking into it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key to everything. Exactly like the Harvard example, for example. Same deal.
Very interesting. It's really good.
Yeah. It's very compendious what you're saying there, bro, because in some aspects it's really important to understand that a lot of people will be sitting out there and they'll have that area of confidence, right? They'll be super confident, like a 9 out of 10 in like sports, right? And they'll enter into the classroom and they're not able to adapt that pattern in the classroom because their confidence is just low and they perceive themselves as being on the sports field in the example you gave, and suddenly they're in the classroom, they don't understand shit. They're not able to apply the same mindset because their ego is keeping them from actually going down to a level where they're able to adapt and learn, right? And a lot of people are stuck in this trap. I don't believe a lot of people, you have the ignorant, lazy, or, these type of areas, but a lot of people just aren't willing to learn how to be shit at something before they're good at it. And that also takes a massive amount of ego depletion that a lot of people won't be able to actually look into their eyes with, right? And realize, hey, I'm going to suck at this to begin with. I'm not going to know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm an action taker. And with this pattern, I'm going to be able to still deplete my ego and move on. I think that's a common pattern as well, that people in this industry don't hold themselves to a high standard. Hence why when billionaire 7-8 figure business owners that I've spoken with, when they meet someone that's just a true action taker, when I meet someone in my DMs and I hop on a call with him and he's like just a true action taker, right? It's common to see that's the pattern that I'm attracted to. It's not whether or not they have that certification, but if they're able to deplete their ego, and I can tell that they're obviously just in a state of being willing to just work hard. And that's also what you teach, right, with your impact circle, right? It's just that circle of being someone that comes across as a real action taker. And I'm interested to know what the vision behind impact circles went and why you decided that it should be something that's free, right? Because I'll be curious to know why you wouldn't move forward with like a low ticket offer and it's just like be a small membership and go down like a kind of Tate funnel with the real world. What is it that drove you towards having this as a free community? And where can I have
a $97 a month group, but that isn't even to monetize. I lose money on that group every month. I lose money. I've showed the receipts publicly online. I lose money on that group. But the reason why is because I think you reach a certain point where if we think about needs, or even let's simplify everything. Let's talk about just dopamine, for example. At the beginning, when you don't have any money, making money is the biggest dopamine hit possible. Now, like yesterday, I think I did 20 grand or something. I didn't even realize. Like there's no dopamine attached to it. Cause it's like, okay, 20 grand more. What am I going to, what am I going to do? What am I going to buy? I have the cars. I have the penthouse. I have everything. Like it's no dopamine to me. I don't give a fuck. It makes no difference to my life. So at a certain point, if you want to keep the same drive, the same ambition, there needs to be something else that drives you. And that something else that drives you fundamentally will be something that gives you a dopamine hit. And for me, for example, I think it's helping people. When I help somebody like that kid I was mentioning earlier, who he's 17 now, did 200,000 last month, 220,000, 230,000, whatever it was. That kid, like seeing that was a bigger dopamine hit to me than if I were to make 50 grand yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, massively more. And going back to the basic 6 human needs, there's only 2 that create fulfillment. And it's growth and contribution in psychology. Because whenever you're contributing, it always changes your state. An example, does it feel better to buy a $5,000, $10,000 watch? Or does it feel better to gift a $10,000 watch to your parents?
Gift.
Anybody can answer that question. It will always be the same. Unless you're dead poor, no money, then maybe different. But we can all agree it's gifting it. Why? Because contribution is what creates that fulfillment. It's very hard to be giving and helping and loving and be like, oh, but I feel depressed. That doesn't happen because it's a sense of fulfillment. So I think fundamentally, like you reach a certain point where the money doesn't really matter and you're not doing it for the money anymore. If you think about like Steve Jobs or any of those people, Steve Wozniak, I think I'm saying that right. I hope I. If you look at any of those people, like, was their mission, oh, I want to make $1 trillion company? No, they never mentioned that ever. It was, oh, I want to change the way technology works. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like a massive vision.
Make life multi-planetary. I mean, all the biggest leaders, right?
Exactly. Take Elon Musk. For him, it's like multi-planet. And then also he even talks about there was a book I think he read when he was like 16 or 17 or something.
The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Yeah. The Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, exactly. And it was talking about like the meaning of life, the science of life. And it was like, the whole concept of that book was whenever we ask like, what's the meaning of life? The issue isn't that we don't have the answer. It's that we're asking the wrong questions. And we can't ask the questions because we lack the information to be able to do so. So then his entire life became dedicated towards finding those questions.
Asking the right questions. Bang on,
exactly.
Bro.
So it's something much bigger than just money because the money can't push you past a certain point.
And what's that for you? What's that for you? What does it look like?
For me, it's giving that opportunity to other youth who are in a position that I used to be in, where they feel like shit, they feel inferior, they feel like, oh, fuck, I'm trapped in this box. I don't know what to do with my life because you don't know any other way. And I think those people, just like anybody else, deserve to find a way to feel like they have something to do with their life, a different path, because clearly school isn't cutting it. Clearly college isn't cutting it. We can see that even with global unemployment rates from college graduates and everything else. Like there's every data point points towards that one thing, that it's fucking useless. But we'll cover that another day. But those people, they don't see a way out. It's like, oh, I want this thing. Like I feel like there's something more for me, but I don't know how. Like I'm trapped. And so for me, my mission is to help as many of those people be able to find that way for them that can change their life, change their psychology, change how they view the world.
Yeah.
I think to some points, and this will sound stupid, like a stupid example. I even saw an Instagram reel, right, that my content director sent to me. And it was people talk about rage baiting. His entire page is joy bait. So go up and he'll just like shower somebody with compliments and make him feel amazing. And he's going viral right now. I think that's just one example, but I think there's a kind of a cultural shift happening right now, which I actually really, really like, where I think we're moving more towards the helping, the fulfillment side. And I think a lot of that has come from seeing all the aggression and all the wars and everything in the world that frankly, most people on ground fucking zero, like any of us, I don't really give a shit. Like, why do we have to have this war? Why do we have to have this war? Like, I don't give a fuck. Can we all just chill out? Fucking have a good time? Like,
exactly. That's why we also have these mass media. And one of the reasons why companies are successful is that they are really good at producing fear or having people feel like there's something wrong with them. So that's why the news are negative, because it makes people think, okay, there's something wrong here. And they're always going to be in like a fight or flight state, which means that they're not able to ask better questions. It always becomes, okay, how can I survive to the next day? how can I get a job? How can I make money right now so I can get food on the table? But they don't actually have enough mental space to build a plan that actually makes them live a dream life, because you're always in this survival mode. And I think that's also what's really cool about you, bro. You actually speak to people's potential. You give young people a reputation to live up to, because we're so used to hearing the youth are useless. They can't do anything. We can't trust them. They're fucking up everything.
You know what I find hilarious, and I'll say this as a side note, the people saying that are usually like 40-year-olds, 45-year-olds. It's like, you fucking raised us.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like,
There's
you
no
nurtured us.
accountability there. No, it's fucking
Yeah, so
horrendous.
you don't have any right to be like, oh, you guys are being useless, etc. It's like, yeah, now we got to fix your fuck up. Like
Exactly.
I didn't do nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. But I think, yeah, I completely agree with you. It's a massive part.
It's really interesting. And also, when it comes to you and what you do in your community, how do you actually inspire people to be more, to actually like create a better legacy for themselves and the people they care about? How do you do that?
I don't believe in the short-term motivation of like, oh, you got it, champ. Like, you can figure
That's
it
the
out.
thing. I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe in that. I believe that the ultimate motivation comes from how we shape our mind. And it goes back to, I'll give you an example. If at the very beginning, I didn't value significance, would I have gone on this entire business journey? No way. No fucking way. Right? There's two components. Having the right systems in your mind. People talk about systems in a business. Just like you need to have the right systems for sales or marketing or operations or leadership or any of those things, you have to have the right systems in your mind. Because 80% of business is psychology, 20% is strategy.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. So like, just like you have the systems in a business, if you don't have the systems in your mind to know how to think, to know how to formulate thoughts, to know how to have creativity, to know how to prioritize, if you don't have those systems in your mind, you will fail inevitably. And so I think the ultimate motivation doesn't come from like, oh, you got it, champ. Like, you can do this, you can do that. I think the ultimate motivation comes from shaping your mind with the right systems, setting up the right values, the right beliefs, the right 6 human needs, for example, to give you that inevitable internal drive that makes you know that I can do it. I'll give you another example. If somebody has, let's say they value, I'll give a random example, love. Let's say they value love in a relationship. Let's say a girl, because this sounds like a very realistic example. Let's say a girl likes a dude, they're in a relationship. For every value, there is rules attached to it. What I mean by that, if a girl loves a dude, they're in a relationship, she could have her number one value be love. What are the rules that make her feel loved then? Because somebody can have a rule that, oh, if this person texts me once a day, if they check up on me once a day, I feel loved. Somebody else could have a rule that we need to go on 5 dates a week and you need to send me 3 selfies of yourself and fucking call me in the morning and the afternoon to feel loved. Is that person ever going to feel loved in any relationship? No. Because what dude is going to do that? Unless he's fucking working like a trash job.
You forgot to choose Chanel handbags as well, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So like, if that dude is never going to be able to do that for her, it doesn't matter what relationship she's in. She's always going to be thinking, oh, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? Because her number one thing that she values the most in life is not being met. And it's not the guy's fault. It's her rules. But does she consciously know these are the rules that I need to have to feel loved? No, she has no idea. Because most people never even think about that.
No.
So she has no idea, but her number one value in life is not being met ever. That's a very unhappy person. And that works the same way in business. If you have a belief, for example, if you have a belief of, I figure it out, I find a fucking way. That's a value. That's a belief. But in order for that to feel met, you have to grow a business from 0 to $1 million in your first 90 days in business and do this and do that because that's what you saw on social media from some random guy who probably lied about his numbers. He's actually a piece of shit and he scams people. But that's your rule. You're never going to feel like, oh, I can figure it out. And if you go long enough in life thinking I can't figure it out because that value, that belief is never met, you do that for 12 months believing you can't figure it out. That's a very, very dangerous place to be. Because now you could go anywhere in life. You could do sports, relationships, whatever it is. If you fundamentally have a belief in life, I will not figure it out, Doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to figure anything out. So I think that's so key is like, if you could shape your mind to have the right belief systems, the right values, the right rules, the right needs, then you're able to create an internal sense of motivation, an internal sense of drive, not the temporary one. That's the first part. And then the second part becomes a strategy. Because again, that's the 80% of psychology. The 20% becomes a strategy. Now the strategy, what it needs to be is it needs to be simple, digestible. One thing I'll say is like Jeremy Miner, for example, best sales guy on the planet, I believe. Not the best sales trainer. Not even close. And the reason why is because a 45-year-old white man who grew up on a farm around chickens and fucking pigs cannot teach a Gen Z 16-year-old who's doom scrolling on TikTok all day and is getting 1 million hits of dopamine this massive sales system, right? With all these little intricacies and all these little things. That's why. Why do you think Yosh and I had to train his sales team? Because what do you think the average age of somebody on that sales team was? 20 years old, 21, 22. It doesn't relate. It doesn't connect. That's why we had to train him, because Yosh is 20. I just turned 18. We were able to take a system, simplify it in our own mind to where the strategy is very simple. And if the strategy is simple, then it's something that can be trained. Does that make sense? So that's the 20% of the strategy. What it comes down to is simplicity and something proven. So then we're able to combine that psychology, creating that internal drive, the internal motivation based on our beliefs, our values, our rules, our values, or our 6 human needs, I mean. And then that 20% of the strategy, and that is all you need to be able to achieve the success. But most people, number one, don't even know they have fucking beliefs. Don't even know what a rule is. No idea. Don't know what the 6 human needs are.
Their brains are hijacked. They're just hijacked.
Exactly. And they don't know. They follow some guy who took 20 years to make a system who is extremely complex, thinking that them without a high school diploma or anything else for that matter can somehow figure it out. It's a recipe for failure.
Exactly.
Man.
And that also applies. Yeah. And that like applies to sales like so much, what you said there. And I'm also really interested in hearing your perspective. So you've been in sales for some time, not the longest, but you have actually possibly grown the most over the years, like extremely good. So in your opinion, what separates the good salespeople from the greatest?
The good salespeople from the greatest. I think it's the people who can take a concept, a very simple concept, and improve 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%. People talk about 1%. I don't do 1%, 10%. If you can do 10%, 10%, 10% over a long enough period of time, people think, okay, if I ask you guys, if you improve 10% a month for a year, how much do you improve at the end of the year?
A lot.
How much?
Probably like 370 times.
Exactly. Not actually 370 times, but like close. But people think if I improve 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, at the end of the year, I'm going to have improved 120%.
Nah, it's compounding, bro.
Exactly. If you improve 10% a month, I think it's something like 370%.
71 or
at the end of the year, something like that. If you do 10% for 2 years, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's like 1,000% improvement.
I can't do the math there, no.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's like 1,000%, which is a 10x. Right? Yeah. If you take those concepts and it's like you have a foundation and you build on it constantly, then you can determine, is it going to be 10, is it going to be 15, etc. For me, I was all in. I was 17, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for a year, right? So like I can improve faster than 10%. Maybe I could do, I don't know, 20, 30% a month. I do that for a long enough period of time. End of the year, trust me, I'm really fucking good. Somebody else, the issue, and this is what good reps do, or even mediocre reps, is rather than focusing on having a foundation and then building on it bit by bit by bit, rather than focusing on that, what they do instead is they take a process, every single call, they change it a little bit, they wing it a little bit, they do something where on the call, maybe they're like, oh, I think this would work better in this scenario. And maybe it would have. But if you take the great rep, even if he thinks, oh, this is going to work better in this scenario, he's not going to do it. He's going to stick to his process.
Yeah.
Because that's how you build the constant improvement. Rather than if I go on a call and I'm like, I make something up because it's like, oh, I think this is going to work better. Well, now I've taken 10 calls today. 8 of them were different. I have no foundation because it's different every single call. So I have nothing to build 10% on or 15% on or 30% on because there's nothing to build on. There's no foundation.
Wow.
So I think that's the difference between great reps and just good or mediocre reps is the ability to stay consistent to a process, to write your script every single day, multiple times a day, to ingrain that thing, and then be able to just make those subtle improvements every single week. One question, one tonality you change, one little thing. You do that week after week after week. And that constant compounding improvement, that's what makes you amazing. By the end of the year, the end of 2 years. Even if you take it mathematically makes sense. If I improve 20% a month for 2 years, which I've been in business in total for a year and a half or 2 years. If I improve 30% a month for 2 years, the change I'm going to get in that period of time is ridiculous. I don't even know the math on it, but it would be like a 30x or like a 40x.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous. Maybe even like a 60x.
That's
It's
crazy.
a massive improvement.
That comes down to a strong feedback loop as well, right? So how do you go about gathering the data from how upon you then set that next standard?
You track meticulously.
Yeah.
So you need to track everything. You need to track, great. For example, in sales, how many calls did I have on my calendar? How many confirmed? How many showed up? How many, if you're doing outbound calls, for example, how many did you make it past 1 minute, right? If you're doing, I don't know, actual sales calls, and it's like, okay, how many people were you able to pitch? Out of the people you pitched, how many bought? The ones that didn't buy, what were the most common objections you got? How many sales did you make from follow-up? What's the average revenue per deal? What's the average cash collection per deal? Like, you need to track meticulously. Then you find patterns over months, over quarters, over years, right? Because as you figure all that stuff out, now you have all the data you need. And then I go at the end of the week, and I literally had an assistant that would track all this data for me and help me make those improvements. At the end of the year, or at the end of the week, I can sit down on a Sunday, write on a whiteboard, here's all my data here. And I could probably find a picture and send it to you guys after. I would highlight every piece of data, red, yellow, or green.
Yeah.
And then all the red ones, those were like the ones that I was like, okay, I need to improve these the most. Right. And then those were the ones where I'd find one question, one change to make, one thing to add in the confirmation process, etc. And then I'd make that one change. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It makes good sense. I'm just smiling, bro, because I'm thinking back, Mikkel. Do you remember when we lived together, right? We were sleeping like in 2 beds with approximately like 2 inches between them, right?
Yeah,
and
very close.
We had a whiteboard folio, and every single Sunday, bro, we would write on the wall, not on the wall, but on the folio on the wall. We would actually do a full analytical breakdown of the week, of our routines, of the input we had. Do you remember that, bro? Every single Sunday,
every single
we were in the middle
Sunday.
of Copenhagen, in the middle of fucking Paradigm City. Around us is just like, we feel like we're just like behind enemy lines, and we're just there every single Sunday tracking down everything, bro. It was so fun. You remember that, yeah? It comes down to the same.
That's what it takes.
And we also adjusted the plan like halfway. Okay, we need to, in the beginning, when we lived together, we had a plan and we executed on it. But what's really important is that we use the feedback loop. Okay, what was working really good? What was the most challenging part here? What didn't work? Okay, how can we make it work? And what changes, what do we need to commit to make these things work? And then set a plan. That's what we did every single Sunday. And we also massively improved sales training, chess, whatever we did. It was all about like tracking what we did and see, okay, how can we make it even better?
Exactly.
It's so important. And tracking is everything. I lost 65 pounds myself, went from obese to having a 6-pack. I couldn't do that without tracking.
Congrats.
Bro, you didn't wake up one day and was like, oh, fuck, I've got a 6-pack and now I can bench 150. Like, you didn't just by surprise fucking realize that suddenly you looked down, you know? That was meticulous fucking tracking, right? And you applying a pattern that favored your outcome, right? So fucking important, man. Bro, what a crazy bunch of... I think people have to listen to this one back, and we definitely have to run this back as well. But we have this one section at the end, bro. Because we definitely have to run this back in like, let's say 12 months, right? We're sitting back here in 12 months, right?
Yeah.
Break down to me when we sit down in 12 months, we play this clip back. What has happened in 12 months, bro, when we run this back? We hop on a podcast in UAE physically.
What I think is going to happen over the next 12 months?
Yeah, when we sit down in 12 months, what would have done between now and then?
I think I'll preface this by saying the point of goals is not to set a goal that you think is achievable. It's to set a goal that pushes you and forces you to be better
Agreed,
in
bro.
order to achieve.
Agreed.
Over the next 12 months, I think we will have the biggest sales group in the entire world. Number one, which would have to be, I think, 160,000 members, right? Maybe 170,000, something like that. I think we will be at $1 million a month already, right? Probably profit. Those are honestly my main two goals. And then my third one, more personal one, is I want to be at 160 pounds body weight. That's my third
Nice.
one.
Sick, bro.
So those are my three. Those are my
Really good.
How are you shaping your training and your environment around your sales?
I'm actually hiring a personal trainer right now because I just got back from Florida, so now I'm hiring a personal trainer, and then I'm just gonna have him make it.
And you're gonna stick around in Houston for the time being, right?
Yeah, for at least another 9.
Because I remember
months.
you announced back in the day. Obviously, we did our digging. December 2023, you said, "Oh, I'm going to Bali." Blah blah blah. Did you ever go? You were there for maybe.
I did. I went for a month. I hated it, and then I came back.
Yeah,
worst fucking place of my life. I hated it.
I thought you might fucking say that. I swear, bro. Bali's just
I got Bali belly in my first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I realized the time zone is literally the worst time zone in the world. I would wake up at 9 p.m. I would work from 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. of the next day. I'd sleep for an hour and then go to bed. That was my entire.
It's not ideal.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Not ideal.
Yeah, it's horrible for the US time zones.
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
Yeah,
I didn't say that.
I mean, yeah, I've never been to Bali. I've been to Dubai. That's a great place. A lot of ambitious people who, and the society. I'm actually also going to know that you already know it. But the society is built for you to win.
Yeah,
literally
the royal family. Really. Yeah, the royal family has built the city for you to win. I think that's absolutely incredible.
End of this year, even I'm because after Houston, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go somewhere else after this lease is up. I'm going to travel a bunch of places around the world, and then just figure out where I want to settle down. But Dubai is on my list. Dubai, Cabo, Tulum, Cancun. I'm going to go to Austin, check it out. Definitely not Miami. Maybe London. There's a couple of places I want to visit, but then I'm just going to decide. Settle down.
Come Copenhagen, come New Zealand. That's our ends, bro.
That's actually on the list. I want to go to Poland too. I actually really want to go to Poland or Sweden.
Poland's good, man. We'll speak about why Poland's good for off stream as well, man. There's a lot of great places around the world, really. But I think we should wrap, bro. People have to listen back to this one. It's been a fucking amazing app. We're gonna have to run it back and hold you accountable to those goals. I definitely see it projecting that way, bro. You're definitely an inspiration to a large group of people. I think it's been great to have you on and kind of get your longer term breakdown and not just seeing you doing objections on muffled voices and shit like that. Although it's really great content, man. You got to drop where people can follow you, how they can get engaged. Just fucking plug the shit out of everything, bro.
Yeah.
And
if you just literally just look up my name, Andres Contreras, on YouTube or Instagram, and then I should pop up. And then if you want to join Impact Team, that's where we're trying to make sales education free. We put people on sales jobs complete for free, even if you have no experience. We work with over 150 companies. We can do that. Training, scripts, everything in there. Coaching calls, all for free. The link is in my bio in my Instagram or my YouTube, either one.
Nice.
Sick, man.
Incredible. It's really good, man. One last question before we go. What's your best advice for you? Well, what's your best advice for young people who actually want to find their dream life?
I think it's a very powerful thing when you sit down and you actually think. Because I think you'll find things that you never knew were inside of you or a part of you or that drove. I think it's massive. So when I talk about the 6 human needs and all the other shit, right? It sounds like I'm going to fucking psycho rant, right? But when I talk about that stuff, it's how did I find mine out? I sat down and I just thought for long enough. It was why did I do this? Why did I do that? That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. That's weird.
Yeah.
And I'd think and I'd figure out what was I looking to get from that? Right? It's for example, me fucking tatting myself on my leg randomly at a party, blackout drunk. It's uneven. I still have it to this day. It looks like complete shit, not even close. Me having that, when I look back on that, it's okay, why did I do that? That's a pretty fucking weird thing to do. That's pretty unusual. Why did I do it? It was oh, well, I was trying to be cool. I was trying to be different than everybody else. Well, why did I want that? Oh, I was looking for like a sense of importance. Why did I want that? And you just go down the rabbit hole, and it'll always come back to one of those 6 human needs. That's an example. When you sit down, you just think, you can figure out like, what are the patterns that control your life? And I think that's so powerful. And you look for people who can help you change those patterns, right? So people who are successful, like any of us three, you can model what we do. That's the beauty of it. You can model how anybody acts, any patterns they have, how they behave. You can model any of that stuff, right? And then once you figure that out, then it's like, okay, this is where I am now. This is an example of what I need to be. Great. So these are the patterns I have to copy, and you just do that for a sustained period of time. Now, my recommendation as well, and this is what I'll end with, don't try and go full on board with all the patterns at once, because it will fail. If you view me working 17, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for a year, when you see that, it's like, shit, like I can't do that. That's intimidating. It is. And you shouldn't try, because then you'll fail. And all you do when you say, I'm going to do something and you're not able to do it, is you teach yourself, I don't do what I say. And that's a very dangerous place to be. So instead, be like, okay, I work 8 hours a day now. I'm going to start working 10. Put those 2 hours towards business, towards sales, psychology, something that I feel is going to benefit me. Great. Now that I figured that out, what's the next thing I can do? Right? And you keep looking for these different things that you can do and these different patterns you can implement, and you ramp it up bit by bit by bit. And you go from 10 hours to 12 hours, 12 to 14, 14 to 16. And then eventually you just match those exact patterns. And when you match it, that means you've matched the results.
Exactly. That's good. Great advice.
Good advice.
Adding bit by bit. That's really, really good.
Adding bit by bit and starting to actually sit down and think what mental frame actually favors you.
I think that's
the whole analogy about your 6 psychological needs and the growth and contributing and stuff, that's really important. But just distilling it down is, in essence, just allowing people to have a think about people around them, what patterns that favors the outcome they're actually desiring, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Exactly. What most young people have right now is distraction. So if they can like not being distracted and just sit down and think. There's also like plane. When you're up in the plane, no Wi-Fi, you have the time to actually think. There's nothing to. You can watch movies, but if you actually just sit, that is where the best ideas come. That is where you find the next level, the next big thing in your life. It comes from thinking.
It's so crazy, Like that's why you have like the whole concept of shower thoughts and this shit, right? It's those environments where you're just left by yourself. But people are so scared for that environment. They're afraid of what's going to pop up and what demons they're going to have to face, right? So they continuously just distract themselves. And even the plane that's going to disappear now, Qatar has Starlink, and it's all done, man. And PJs as well. You just have Wi-Fi all the time. So it's like create those spaces for yourself where you're able to actually tap into your unique set of contributing factors that shaped you and what patterns you're able to draw on and your mental frame that you can actually adapt. That's just unhijack your fucking brain, right? It's very simple.
And I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time because I know we're a bit over time, but I'll end with this. Even if you think about it, like a lot of people will be like, oh, but I see these people on TikTok, like they're playing Fortnite, they're doing this, like whatever. Yeah, but the difference is you're fucking watching them. That's the difference. Like, if you were making millions of dollars a month, like an Aiden Ross or a fucking Kai Cenat or whatever, and you wanted to play fucking Fortnite to be able to do it, be my guest. That doesn't mean sit in your fucking underwear like this, playing Fortnite at the end of every, like, it's not the same thing. Even the people you watch that makes you think a certain way, you're not actually modeling what they're doing. But if you start modeling what they're doing, and that's genuinely what you want, I believe, if you're watching this, I believe you genuinely can make it work. But you have to model the right patterns. The pattern isn't, you don't get to pick and choose the things you want to do. The pattern isn't playing Fortnite. The pattern is making the content. For example, right? So like, I think that's what it kind of comes down to is like, you just got to model the right stuff. And that's just another analogy I think will help people understand.
Do you think there's going to be an opportunity to like make this leap in society in 5-10 years? We're going to save some of these questions for when we run this back, but I really believe like we're in a period of time where information is available and they're still not sacrificed enough. That's the only psychological way or rational way people will sacrifice control is to enhance their security. And I think the timeline on a long enough time frame is that we're going to lose this golden opportunity for people to make that leap in a far more like sustainable and easy way. But I definitely don't think there's going to be the same opportunity to actually do this. Like if people were having a thought and an action, they should have hopped off the podcast half an hour ago and do it right fucking now. Like immediately. if I have something I need to do, I do it immediately. Like it's
Yeah.
always a constant thing of deliberate, relentless action. That's the only thing that I know
Yeah.
moves the needle, truly and honestly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Exactly.
Sick, man. Sick. We're going to have to save some of the deeper questions for when we run it back, but I really fucking
will.
enjoyed this.
Yeah.
And we'll know where to find you now, and they've been know where to find us. They've been here anyway. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
man.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been awesome. It's been a
Yeah,
great
looking
Absolutely,
forward
bro.
to catch up somewhere in the world some point, bro. We'll stay in touch, man.
Yep. We will.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care, bro. And yeah, keep up the good work. Keep inspiring people to become better and get one step closer to their dream life. That's incredible.
Love all of you guys watching this. You can fucking achieve your goals. I promise you.